because you're saying they're immigrating. But I'm going to disagree with you. Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree with you because I felt like there's more of an entitlement, I would say, especially from the European countries,
right?
Or like, I'm not cooking, I'm not doing dishes, I'm not working in the kitchen.
It's
I'm
a
like,
status kind of.
Yeah, like I'm here to make as much money possible in the smallest amount of time that I can. Restaurant Punk, what's up? Restaurant Punk.
Restaurant Punk.
What's up?
What's going
What
on?
you got? What do you want? What's so funny?
So aggressive.
Very aggressive.
Very aggressive.
That happens.
May I
sometimes.
try?
You may. Restaurant Punk. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you actually know the definition of punk
No.
on the dictionary?
Nope.
Loud, fast-moving, and aggressive form of rock.
The opposite of me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right. You've seen me in some settings where maybe I am
I have.
a bit punk.
Now, could you tell everybody who you are and what you do and what your goal in life is? Nick, do you agree that we should introduce our guest?
Yeah.
Yes?
All right.
Sure.
Well,
Why don't you introduce yourself?
I am Bobby Baklava.
Bobby Baklava, best dessert in the world.
That's right. I am your brother Pete's only friend.
This is true. Go
And
ahead.
my goal in life is to get Pete a second friend so I can retire being his only friend.
It's a tough job being
It
Pete's
is.
only friend.
Yeah, I'm going to be one of those guys that work till I die, I guess.
And
So,
you and my brother went on a cross-country road trip.
We
One of
did.
my dreams.
We did.
A lot of great stories. How many years ago was that?
Oh, God. We were 21 and 23, so that was 15 years ago.
No shit.
Yes.
And you haven't done it again since.
We have not. I picked your brother up from the airport, and we stopped to have a meal. And he was like, I just want to do something wild. I said, let's just drive
That sounds like
across
Pete.
the country. So we rented a car, did unlimited miles, classic. We put 14,000 miles in 11 days. And
Was it 11 days?
Yeah, it was an 11-day
No
road
shit.
trip.
You ever done
We
that, Nick?
went-
Cross-country road trip?
Not cross country now.
No?
I
Now, did
drove
you-
down to Key West one time. That was like as far as I went.
But as far as doing like a full circle?
I never
Yeah,
did that.
we picked a
It's on
couple
my
of main
list.
points
Yeah,
that we
you
wanted
did.
to do.
Uh-huh.
The problem was when we got to Vegas, we had lost everything we had. We didn't even have credit cards. 'cause
You
we
were out,
young.
yep.
Yeah.
So Yianni, the real mensch, Peter called them, and Yianni sent us enough money to get to each gas station and no more.
That's it.
So
Exactly.
we had like a 48-hour drive back home from Vegas, and we would call him every time we were at the gas station, and we would tell him like, "Hey man, we need $60." He would transfer $60, and that is how we made it home. We slept in the car. We took turns driving. He's like, "I do not trust you guys." So at 21 and 23, Peter and I had $0.
Now, did you guys touch Canada in your
We did
cross-country
not.
road trip?
No, we did not.
Because Nick and I having dual citizenship, I mean, what the
Yeah.
you know what I
Nice.
mean?
Cool.
What, no Canada?
we
You
did
can't
not.
stop in Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, nothing?
I know this is weird. It was actually like our one thing. I was like, under no circumstances will I stop there, and it was really arbitrary for being 21 years old. But yeah.
Can you tell everybody in our audience what you do for a living, for money?
Yes. The legal stuff, right?
The legal stuff,
Yeah, the
yes.
legal stuff. I work for a concessionaire that does food and beverage contracts with like professional sports teams, amphitheaters, museums, things like that.
Restaurant Punk.
Restaurant Punk.
I got a topic. You have a topic, Nick? No, I got it. You have a topic? Is there something? There's something I want to ask. I got something.
Bring it on.
It came up at one of our meetings yesterday, and the topic, maybe I'm not wording it right, but what's the difference between white boy chefs and Mexican chefs? Line cooks, prep, dish, chefs. Ready and go. Oh, what, is this sensitive?
No, I'm trying to like get it all together in my mind right now.
I bring this story
Generally.
Yeah.
I bring this story up because last week I was visiting my son at University of Arizona,
Right.
and there was a sign that said Nogales, Mexico. And I was like, oh. So I look at GPS. It was a little over an hour. I'm like, I'm going to Mexico. I go to Mexico. I park on the United States side, and I just walked through a door. And then I went from there. And it was the first time I'd actually walked in Mexico.
Right.
So it came up at our meeting, and then we just started talking about line cooks and chefs and what's the difference and why is there such a huge gap in the work ethic when it comes down to execution. Now, there could be an argument there somewhere.
Sure.
But do we have one? Do any of you have one? Any experiences? Any input you got on that?
I got something locked and loaded.
You got something
go
locked
ahead,
and loaded?
yeah.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
Oh,
If I may,
you may.
can I draw it out to be a little bit more general?
Okay.
So, a coming up through diners and things like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily just say Mexican or Guatemalan or what. I would say I've noticed a difference between people who have immigrated to this country's work ethic and people who were born into this country's work ethic.
Very well
So
put,
if I can take that out a little general like that,
absolutely.
yeah, I would say that I've noticed, especially through the industry that we're in, I've noticed a much harder work ethic from people that are that have made a conscious decision to relocate from where they're at to attempt to better their lives, as opposed to someone who is currently born into this country and just attempting to work in this country. It's not really a conscious decision. They were kind of born here. But people that actually get up and move thousands of miles away,
Right.
that in itself, I mean, most people can't be motivated to put their socks on in the morning. So I feel like if you're actually going to relocate and go somewhere that you don't know anybody,
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like that's ingrained a particular work ethic. And if we're talking restaurants specific, again, growing up, Greek diners, working things like that, I mean, you know, obviously working with people from different countries and immigrants from countries, first generation, second generation. It's kind of what I've noticed, but I think it's kind of more of that, like, what's kind of given in the standard you're brought up in, as opposed to you looked around at your standard and said, yeah, I'm going to get up and go do this. And I think that's just inherent with it, a different work ethic.
It's the opportunity that they have over in other countries as well. Like even a lot of the European students that will come over and do like a work and travel kind of program.
Yeah, like the J1.
Yeah, like a lot of the J1 visa students. I know that over there, even their doctors and like their lawyers and their chemical engineers, like we're working with people that are studying those degrees. Over there, they don't really have the same monetary benefit that a chemical engineer would have here. So they're coming over here. They know that the highest that they can go monetarily wise is at a certain point due to political reasons or whatever other reasons that they're dealing with over there. So they put in like a massive amount of work and effort and energy into the jobs that they're doing here so that this way they can take that back home and then have security when they go. Because I know a lot of immigrant families will be sending money back home.
Right.
They come here to work to make that money so this way they can build up their family elsewhere.
Well put.
You know, too.
Well put. I have a question.
Yeah.
Let's not to categorize, obviously, but let's say we have a gentleman from Russia coming and a gentleman from Mexico coming. Both have language, shall we say, deficiencies. In other words, their English is not up to par. Why will the gentleman of Spanish descent work in the kitchen when the Russian male will say, no, I don't work in the kitchen. I want to serve. And I've come across this a lot over the past 23 years being in business. In other words, so we talk about immigration, how you generalized everything, right?
Yeah. So if you're taking it, you're
because you're saying they're immigrating.
Immigrant to
but I'm
immigrant now.
going to
What is the
disagree with
difference
you. Yeah, I'm
between-
going to disagree with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree with you because I felt like there's more of an entitlement, I would say, especially from the European countries.
Right.
Or like, I'm not cooking. I'm not doing dishes. I'm not
Right.
working in the kitchen.
It's
I'm
a
like,
status kind of.
yeah, like I'm here to make as much money possible in the smallest amount of time that I can without, and I was like, really? I'm like, no, you will never serve here.
And we're saying everything the same. They're coming over, same time, same language barrier, same penniless pockets, same
Correct.
everything through.
Correct. And it sparked something for me, maybe because I walked, like I said, into Mexico and I felt, you know,
It's doing whatever they can do to survive, to make that extra income, you know, to make that money. So they're more inclined, I think, to do whatever job position it is because they're trying to upgrade their life. So they're more willing to accept even like a lower considered job, like as the dishwasher or the busser.
Don't worry, I'll say something really unpopular.
yeah, that's, listen,
Yeah.
I know it's an unpopular topic.
so,
like,
like,
why not?
it's-
We could talk about it. We're restaurateurs.
Yeah, so I think it's always awkward when you're going to speak through race, religion,
Yeah.
you know, ethnicity in any way, gender, whatever. If you want to have an honest conversation, you just have to acknowledge that there are differences in people and there are differences in cultures and there's differences in countries.
Sure.
And I think that, you know, when you start to look at what the actual statistics and what the floors are in some countries, and you start to say like, oh, okay, well, you're coming from this European country that may be, you know, more developed on these, you know, 10 indicators of whatever. And hey, you're coming from this country that actually are ranking lower on these 10 indicators. What you're probably looking at in that regard is someone who's come through in a culture that maybe the floor of the work that they were accepting in their own country. Because, right, they're leaving something. So, like, what was that person from Russia, I think was your example? What was that person doing in Russia and what was that person doing in Mexico? They're leaving to do.
Yeah.
Well put.
So if you're looking at the different, and you just have to then acknowledge that there's a difference between Russia and Mexico through a lot of things, but there's differences in general. I mean, you can get into why are there more males as line cooks than females. You can parse it out into many different ways. I think the first thing you have to do is just acknowledge that there's absolute differences. Nobody wants to talk about differences though, because it's like,
I'll talk about the differences.
yeah, it's awkward because then you have to acknowledge, and it's like, oh, everybody's not the same and equal. Like, it's weird, but
I'm gonna say
like,
I've worked in white
different
boy
people.
kitchens, and then I've worked in Mexican. I'm just gonna use. I love Mexico, and I love it because it's a fucking ballet.
Yeah.
There's no talking. It's
beautiful.
It's just it's beautiful.
I would say it's like a
magic.
clock if you look at it, like gears if you look at it from above.
Yes.
And you see it all just spinning and turning like.
And I'll see some guy, and they won't shut the up.
Yeah.
Get to work. Let's get this dish out, and they keep yap. And I'm sorry, guys, it drives me absolutely nuts. Now I know you didn't know the topic before we got on, but I was going through my list and I came across that one. I'm like, oh, let's go. Let's get into that one because I don't think I'm here without the grace, the ballet, just what they produce. It's amazing. And when we talk about culture, you mentioned culture and coming from and. Is their goal just to work as hard as they can for 5 to 10 years to go back home and retire? Or some of them are coming here and raising a family here, which is the hardest part.
Right.
I think the easier part. So, when I talk about work ethic, is it just because I don't think it's just money based, guys.
Right.
I think it's
about quality of life.
Yeah, I think there's
100%.
something to it. Like, okay, they really take pride in their job. And I'm going to say on the other end of the spectrum, maybe our culture has come down to, well, if I don't like it here, I'm just going to go work somewhere else because I can. And I would think that's a big one too.
It has to do with like the respect too, that, respect
Absolutely.
for the job, respect for the environment, respect for the opportunity, to be able to come in and do something to better their families and better their lives.
And listen, go for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're here to help.
Do you think and obviously you probably know a lot of examples of people who are first generation whose parents came over.
Yes.
Do you think that their parents' goal was to eventually go back, and when they got here and saw the money they were making and saw the culture and everything, and then became, for lack of a better word, Americanized and stayed? Or do you think their plan was to...
You're looking at one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, my parents came here because they were like, Greece sucks. There's no money. We're poor. It's poor. You're not gonna have a life here. We're going to America, baby. We're going to America. And now look, as I enter semi-retirement, my mom looks at me and goes, "Wait, you want to go back to Greece?" And I'm like,
Right.
Well, yeah, it's nice there if you have some money. You don't have to be rich, but even with what do we say? The top 1% makes $72,000 a year.
Right.
That's not here. You ain't in the top 1% if you're making $72,000 a
They say
year.
that America is a great place to make money.
Uh-huh.
Europe is a good place to be rich.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
But you don't even have to be rich. Just, just a couple thousand a month.
Something
You know what I mean?
That's
it's
it.
just that European lifestyle. I
Yeah,
love it.
exactly.
And maybe that's part of the reason that, maybe they'll come here for the summer and say, I'm not working for $15 or $20 an hour. I'm going to serve. That's where everybody tells me when they come back home.
Right.
That's where they make a lot of money.
But it's no different though, right? Like, think through, like, if you have your current job and you're going to leave your current job, forget about leaving your country, but you're going to leave your current job. You're not going to leave your current job willingly for a job that is more hours, more stressful, less money, less. So I feel like some of it's mitigating factors of like, where are you coming from and what are you coming from to do? Like, most people look to do the next thing to take a step up or theoretically a lateral move that has something, more time, equal money, something. So I think it's...
So did we actually answer the question why Mexican line cooks are better than white boy line cooks?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think, did we answer that question? Did we? Yeah, kind of. Fact check? Kind of, sort of. We kind of danced around it a little bit.
I think. Yeah.
So you're opening a restaurant tomorrow.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Who's going in your kitchen?
The most qualified people.
Restaurant Punk, I love it. Nick, same question.
I'm going to see who comes around first. I will probably pick the people that I think that I can work with.
Real answer. Anybody with a pulse. Do any of us have so many people
The
right
most
now that they're like
qualified.
falling out? Like, I'm turning people around at the door, right? Like, no, it's whoever shows up and says, "Hey, I want to work in the kitchen for 80 hours a week, asshole." Like, it's
I mean,
really...
that's how you get start if you're opening up.
Yeah.
You're gonna bring in whoever you can.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna
initially
tell you what
and
my
then work
answer
your way
is.
through.
what one of your magic wishes you're gonna pick? You're gonna take whoever shows up because nobody wants to work
I'm
in the
going
kitchen.
Mexico. Go!
There you go. There you go.
Baby.
All the way, baby. Restaurant Punk, I'm Yianni.
Bobby Baklava.
Nick,
Out. Wait, what's this thing again?
don't.
I can't touch it? I want to know what it is.
Don't worry about it.
They know. You can
Special guest knows.
What you got? What do you want?